Well, everyone else is betting football. We're here getting baseball winners for you. First pitch, WagerTalk TV. Brewers, Diamondbacks, Rangers, Blue Jays, Phillies, Mets, breakdowns, analysis, totals, bets coming in those, and then best bets coming your way in Cardinals versus the Pirates and Twins, Guardians. That's what we got coming up over the next 45 to an hour. Keep those comments coming below. Hit that like button, and if you haven't already, subscribe. Shout out to those joining us on TikTok as well. That follow button goes a long way. Dan Alexander here, being joined by my KBO bemoaning friends here behind the scenes, Tokyo Brandon and Adam Trigger. Luckily, that's not the only league that's going on. It's the second league that's going on with MLB, and you guys are two of the best in the biz. Trig, fresh off cashing a 4%er free for the folks here on the show. We're going to look to do the same here on a Thursday edition. TB, I'm going to kick it off with you, brother. Happy to see you. You're looking good, styling and profiling as always, my friend. Let's talk Brewers and D-backs. Brewers, I know well, as they took care of my Phillies thanks to a walk-off single by Jake Bauers last night. Now they're facing a D-backs team that kind of an enigma their last series against the Rockies. It was the offense completely disappeared, and then they finally woke up in the finale of the series, 9-4 win. But it sounds like as far as this matchup is concerned, you actually think it's going to be the other side of the equation that's maybe putting up some runs in bunches today. What's the first play out of the gate here, Brewers and D-backs, TB?
Yeah, the Diamondbacks, they were kind of ticking me off, kind of like your Eagles ticked you off the other night.
Come on.
Yeah, sorry to bring that.
There's a football-free space here, TB.
You want it to be free right now, football free right now, but no. Yeah, Diamondbacks tick me out. How do you lose? They're vying for the league title here, and they just start tripping over themselves against the Rockies. I mean, the Rockies have been winning at home off and on, but man, the Diamondbacks are just too good to be losing to a team like that. But today, they're facing the Brewers, and I like to do my rankings by batting, bullpen, and starting pitching here. And Brandon Fott, however he says his name, I don't know the origin of that name, but it's a very strange name. On a curve of 30, I have him ranked 25th. So he's a bottom 5 pitcher, according to my rankings in the curve. And the Diamondbacks bullpen, I have them ranked 27 out of 30, which is just awful. Brewers are a fairly good hitting team. They just clinched the division the other day, day before yesterday, I believe. So I've found in my experience in the past, teams when they're playing kind of stress-free, they just grip it and rip it, and they tend to swing pretty free. And I don't think they're going to rest too many of their starters because they want to keep them fresh for the postseason. Baseball players, man, I'm telling you, since my scouting days, I've met a lot of these guys, and they're creatures of habit, and you don't want to rest them for too long. 1 day, 2 days, maybe put them in as DH. Always want to keep them fresh. But with a team like the Brewers that hit top 7, I have them ranked 7. They're going to face a bottom 3 bullpen and a pitcher who I have ranked very, very low. And if you look at Brandon Fott's numbers against the Brewers in his career, they're not good at all. How bad are they? Well, he has 23 at-bats against. He has a 478 batting average against and a 1191 OPS. And for reference, I use 750 OPS as kind of a Mendoza line. Anything over 750, you're pretty much getting the best of that pitcher. So the Brewers are getting the best of Brandon Pfaadt. I think the Brewers are going to score today. Team total was 3.5, way too low in my opinion. So I'm going Brewers over 3.5 in this one.
Team total too low, says our man Tokyo Brandon. WT.buzz/TB is where you can find him over at WagerTalk.com. Going over the 3.5. Yeah, a bit of a head-scratching number there. Indeed, someone in the chat saying Brewers were partying last night. Maybe Tokyo Brandon saying the party going to continue to the plate here today for the Milwaukee side
That's why
of the
number
equation. Yeah. Trig, for you, man, Rangers and Blue Jays. And we also have a question here from Joseph Rackett Jr. in the chat asking, hey, any thoughts on Rocker over his strikeout prop? Think it's sitting around 4.5 is the number that he's seeing there. Don't have my odds screen up. We'll check on that number for you, though, Joseph. But he's saying Rocker over the 4.5 strikeouts, says he's going against Gausman. As far as this one's concerned, though, Trig, it's just been back to the well for you and the clients. You gave out the free play for the folks. It was a 4% best bet going with the Rangers last night, and we cashed in for free here on the show. So they've done it two different ways here, Trig. 13 runs and then 2 runs. So they want them big, they want them tight. We just go back to the well, money line it here, a reasonable price for the Rangers to complete the sweep against the Blue Jays. Is that how you would be betting it? And what do you think about the pitcher potentially going over the strikeouts here for our man Joey?
Yeah, I'll touch on both those things. So first, yeah, if I was going to bet this game, this missed my client card, and I'll kind of explain why, but I still lean to the Rangers side. It's still the only way I would bet this. So the Rangers, man, they're 7 games out with 10 games to play. They're probably out of it, but if you've watched the Rangers the last couple of days, you got to be looking at this team and being like, man, like what could have been if they were healthy all season, if they got it together just a few weeks earlier, because this looks like a playoff team to me right now. Like if take all the records out of it. If you're just watching if you watch the way the Rangers played last night, it looks like a playoff baseball team. 7 good innings from Bradford. Yates coming in, slamming the door. Great defensive plays. Alonis Garcia had a great game. Made an unreal catch. Got the big hit to win 2-0. This looks like a team that belongs in the playoffs, like more so than watching like the Orioles play baseball these days, or some of these other teams that are probably going to make it. And it's worth noting that their schedule to finish out the season is very favorable. One here against the Jays. They play the Mariners at home, and then they have A's and Angels. So, I'm not saying that they're gonna battle all the way back, but they'll probably be favored or close to favored in all of those games. I do think, based on the energy I've seen out of the Rangers on this homestand so far, that they're going to give an effort until they're out of it, until they're mathematically eliminated, which will probably happen a few days from now, but it's not today. I mean, if they win this game and the teams in front of them lose, which is what happened yesterday, they'll be, 1 game closer. So I still think you get a strong effort here from the Rangers. Now, let's touch on Rocker, and I'll also answer the question about the prop. And this goes back into the what could have been category, Dan, because, if he wasn't hurt all year and he was able to come back sooner, theoretically, you could have had a rotation that was like Rocker, DeGrom, Scherzer, Bradford. Could have been a whole different ballgame for the Rangers. But Kumar Rocker was outstanding in the minors when he came back, started his season late. This dude had an ERA under 1 and a WHIP under 1 in the month of August at AA and AAA combined. So far in September, a really good outing at AAA. And then we finally got to see his major league debut, which was last week. 4 innings pitched, 1 run, 7 strikeouts. So now on to the question from our friend in the chat. Do I like his over strikeouts? I would lean toward yes. The reason that number is low is they are going to be very strict with his pitch count. It's almost non-negotiable coming off the injury, having the injury history that he had. I don't think he goes more than 75 pitches. I don't think it's up for discussion. So that's why you have the low strikeout total. But if you look at what he did against the Mariners, and you look at what he did in just about every one of those AAA starts, AA starts, every single one was like 7 strikeouts, 10, 8, 6, like in the same window of time, meaning like in a 4 to 5 inning stretch. He never went past 5 innings in the minors. And he's, like I said, like every one of those starts had more than 4.5 Ks. So I don't mind that at all, especially against a free swinging Blue Jays team. This is a young lineup. There is some talent there, but these guys are up there hacking right now, Dan. They're going to swing, and they're probably going to swing and miss just as much as, they have the opportunity to run into one because they'll ambush early in an at-bat, but they're also going to swing and miss. So I'll co-sign on his Rocker over 4.5 prop. And again, I guess the only reason I'm not playing the Rangers today I got my money with them last night, so I'm less inclined to I guess have to come back with them here. And then Kevin Gausman, I think is maybe flying under the radar a little bit right now. Didn't have the best start to 2024. He's probably not going to replicate his numbers from last year, but he's sort of quietly pitching to them, over the last couple weeks. 4.02 ERA, 1.25 WHIP. Last time out, 7 innings, 2 runs. And if you go back to August 8th, every start's been pretty good. 6 innings, quality start, 7 innings. I think there was an 8-inning gem in there somewhere. So Gausman's been really good. And one thing he almost always does is pitch deep into the game. And that takes away your edge with the Blue Jays. And that's that Blue Jays bullpen, which has been god-awful. So the fact that I probably know that we're going to see Gausman for 6 or 7 here makes me less inclined to go against the Blue Jays in this spot. But it's certainly a strong lean for me. And I do think that Rocker over prop gets there. So I like the Rangers here. Didn't make my client card, but I expect Rocker to pitch it well again. And I think our friend catches his strikeout total prop.
Great breakdown there from our man Adam Trigger. Out of the dozen games today, it looks like 4 of them going before 4:10 Eastern time. That game, one of them, 2:35. We'll circle back, touch upon some of these early games for you here coming up, but we're going to hit some of these questions coming, and we appreciate you guys. Keep those likes coming. Keep those comments coming. Even if you're watching on the rewatch, let us know below if you have any games that you're eyeing on the evening slate. The guys will chop up in the comments with you. So even if you're not with us live, that like button in a comment, we would appreciate it. Mike Scott, the regional manager, had a big-time question here for UTB, taking a look at the Red Sox and the Rays game here tonight. It looks like Bello and Lytle are going to be on the mound in this one. 6:50 the start time, so folks have a chance to get towards this one going at Tropicana Field. Man, the Red Sox sitting at just sitting at 500 here on the year. Offense has just been mediocre to poor, to say the least here. So 2 teams, really not much to play for, but we can still bet on a game if it makes sense here. And Mike Scott is wondering, does anything make sense for you here, TB, when the Red Sox are taking on the Rays?
Well, taking a look at both of these teams, we got 2 teams that are not hitting very well right now. We got one decent bullpen, but if you look at Bayo's numbers against Tampa Bay, they're not very good. He gets rocked pretty good. And Littell tends to be pretty decent against the Red Sox. Given that, I have the Rays ranked slightly higher than the Red Sox here. So if anything, I would take the Rays in this game. It's not a play for me, but if I go either way, I would take the Rays. I think they're an underdog here, so you can get some plus money if you take them. But Littell performs much better against these Red Sox than Bayo performs against Tampa Bay, and Tampa Bay has a much better bullpen. So Rays would be the way to go for me if you have to.
What about you, Trig? Anything stand out to you in that game? If not, we do have another question here. Taking a look here at the Braves and Reds. Hal L wanted to hear about that one. The Bravos taking on Cincinnati this evening. So anything for you, Red Sox, Rays, or Braves, Reds, before we get to some of these other games questions?
Yeah, I like the Rays. I'm not going to bet it. It's not going to make my card, but Littell, so he hasn't been great against the Red Sox this year. I believe it's 6 earned runs in 10 innings, so a 5 ERA. I don't think he's gotten a decision in either, but he's been good lately. So, his last 2 starts have been very solid. His overall numbers this season are really good. Great strikeout to walk ratio. He's a guy that I become more inclined to play as the months have gone on. I didn't really expect this out of him this year. And TB's right. Bayo's kind of just been up and down. I don't know if I see him having success in this spot. Red Sox feel like a team that maybe have just kind of run out of gas. They were in the postseason race. They're now falling back to 500. So again, just a slight lean there toward the Rays on their home field. If you force me to bet that one, it would be the Rays. As far as Reds Braves is concerned, the Reds just got officially eliminated from postseason contention, which I think is maybe why this line is so high. I mean, for me, I just can't get down with the Braves being like treated like an elite team, like they have been. And I know they keep making me eat my words, right? Like, because they've had a really easy schedule of late, and I continue to, like, again, eat my words when it comes to the Braves. They come into play in this game 82-70. They're right in the mix for a wild card spot. But this team just can't. They're just not a team I'm willing to lay 210 on the road with. Aguilar is a good pitcher. Like, he's a young kid. He's pitched his way all the way up through this organization. There was nothing sort of like handed to him. He wasn't a high draft pick, so it's not like he got bumped along based on pedigree. He's in the big leagues right now because he pitched his tail off at Double-A and then did it again all season at Triple-A, and now he's done it at the big league level to an extent since being called up. So I would go Reds plus 1.5 there. I think you're still getting a plus price on the run line. I mean, as long as they just don't totally no-show, which I just don't think they're going to do at home, I think there's some value in the in getting a run. So we'll say Reds plus 1.5 for that one.
That being one of the early games that are on the slate here today, one of those 1:15, 1 o'clock starts in that one. So hop below in the comments. Let us know what games you're looking to bet on. A decent slate here. TB, I think I've waited long enough, man. 20 minutes nearly into the show, and I haven't talked about what I would say is one of the best series that's opening up in New York. And not just the opening game. It's the Phillies and the Mets. This one of the late games, so you have a chance to get towards it around 7:15. Mets, red hot bats. 4-game win streak that they come in on this one. 10-0 win that they're rolling off of last night. The Phillies, kind of limping a little bit while they're still clinging on to that lead in the NL. 2-1 loss for them. The thing for me, though, I just look at this and maybe it seems too easy. Sending Walker to the mound, maybe not the prescription to slow down an absolutely rocking hitting team of the New York Mets. So this is a huge pivotal 4-game series. Don't get me wrong, for both of these clubs, for the Phillies potentially, wrapping things up, and for the Mets, if they could pull off a 4-game sweep, that lead just continues to shrink. So probably all eyes in the NL, maybe rooting for the Mets here a little bit, unless you're around that wild card picture. But for you, Phillies Mets game 1, sure. But how do you see this weekend series, a little wraparound action setting up for you?
Well, I don't know how the series is going to go, but I can tell you what I think about game 1 and two, in my opinion, poor starting pitchers. I mean, I got Severino ranked 20 out of 30 curve, but we got 2 good bullpens and 2 good lineups. But the Mets right now are performing better than the Phillies. They're red hot, and they're really playing their hearts out. I think the Phillies have a magic number that's really low. They only need to win like 2 of the remaining games. There's no real like fire under their rear ends right now. But the Mets, they need to win, and they're performing. The bullpen's better, innings better. Their starting pitcher today is better. So, but I looked at this line. The first thing I looked at before I even did my analysis was the Mets minus 135 against the Phillies. That's crazy. So all the numbers point towards the Mets, but I would never, ever lay 135 or 140 against the Phillies, because the Phillies have the best record in Major League Baseball. You just can't do that. Even with a poor pitcher like Taijuan Walker on the mound, you can't lay that number against the Phillies. I don't care if they're at home or on Mars. So that was the first thing that stuck out to me, is I would jump on the Phillies, but then you break it down and the Mets actually have all the intangibles in their favor. So I'm not going to bet this game.
Yeah, and Trig, for you, I know that sometimes you like setting up how a game will maybe, or a series will maybe start to come back with the team, find value. I mean, everything in the line tells you that the Mets are the hot team. I feel like the squarest pick on the board today is just going Mets team total over, because you see the pitcher that they'll be opposed. You just look at what they have been able to do here over the last week plus, especially in their last series. As a Phillies fan, I would be circling this matchup and saying I'm a little concerned about this 4-game set. I know Eric D says the same, and Robert S with a great line saying sending Walker to the mound feels like throwing gas on a fire right now with how the Mets are hitting. But as we know in baseball, look at what happened with that D-backs series and how they were absolutely on a tear. And they go to a hitter-friendly park where the totals are always 11.5, and they couldn't buy a hit until the last game of the series. So game one for you, any thoughts here with Walker and Severino? But I also know that you like setting up as you maybe try and extrapolate how a series will roll out, and no 4-game series bigger than this one in down the stretch here.
Yeah. Well, first, I did look up a stat. The last game we talked about, Reds Braves, Aguilar, the Reds are 6-0 when Julian Aguilar takes the mound. So just something to think about. Like, he probably pitches his butt off again and keeps them in that game. As far as this game is concerned, I think it's a little unfair to say both of these pitchers are not like, these two guys are not equal. So TB kind of made it seem like they're two trash pitchers on the mound. I think that's a little unfair. I'd rather drink bleach than bet on Taijuan Walker. I agree with that. Like, you can't bet that guy in any capacity. But Luis Severino has not been bad at all. I mean, he's his last 5 starts, he's 3-0 with a 2.35 ERA. At home this year, he's got a 2.86 ERA. And his ERA for the season is under 4. So I mean, he's been pretty formidable as a starter, in my opinion. I mean, obviously there's better out there. But as far as him being a deserving favorite over Walker here, I mean, Severino's season-long numbers are really pretty solid. 3.77 ERA, 1.23 WHIP. As far as strikeouts per 9, I just was trying to get it here. It's slightly under a K an inning, but that's okay. So, the Mets certainly have the more favorable matchup in this one. As far as the series is concerned, though, Dan, this is going to be a great series. These are, I think they're two very evenly matched teams. I would much rather see the Phillies piggyback Walker like they did with him last time out. He looked more comfortable coming in a long relief role behind Allard, which is what I believe they did in his last start. So I don't like Taijuan Walker at all. The Mets, I believe, are 15-4 in their last 19 games. So I certainly don't want to put Walker out there in front of a Mets team that's just red hot. So I guess slight lean toward the Mets. Continue to play well. They need every game. There's no shortage of motivation here for the Mets. They've got to keep winning if they want to make the playoffs. But I guess I do agree with TB. Price is a little bit high, -135, -140. So pass. But those are my thoughts.
Yeah, great breakdown there. Adam Trigger, wt.buzz/AT is where you can find him. Best bets coming up here. We'll hit one more game that's come up in across YouTube and over on TikTok before we get to best bets. Those are going to be in the Cardinals and Pirates game, which has also been asked about, and the Twins and Guardians game, which we've heard about in the chat as well. But last one, TB, it feels like whenever you're on, did nobody get the memo to Patrick Corbin that we're supposed to be just allowed to fade him and print money? Because that hasn't been the case over his last 5 starts, going 4-1 straight up in those games. He'll be going against the side here. Cubs, clinging to a hope of maybe getting a wild card. It's not looking good unless a tear comes on down the stretch here for them. But the days of sitting it and forgetting it, just checking the lineup and seeing Pat Corbin in it and saying, let's fade the guy, those have faded away towards the back half of the season. And I guess as Charlie Kelly on Always Sunny says, that's baseball, baby. But any thoughts here as far as the Nats and the Cubs are concerned, and the fact that we just don't get our auto free space on the bingo card with Pat Corbin anymore? And I'm a little sad about it.
Well, there are some things in sports betting that seem kind of automatic, and you just play them until they don't work anymore. And Patrick Corbin fading him was one of those things. I don't know. I mean, looking at this game, we've got the Cubs. The Cubs are hitting great. I mean, I have them top 3 lineup in MLB. Washington was hitting great, but they've plummeted down to like number 26. We got 2 bullpens that are bottom feeders. So if anything, I'd take an over in this game because I don't like Assad. I wouldn't back him. I wouldn't back Corbin either. And, I have both of these pitchers ranked very low. Both bullpens ranked very low. And one of the lineups is a top 3 lineup. So whenever you get that, I don't know. I don't really pay attention to all the wind and all that stuff that everyone likes to pay attention to when games are played in Chicago. I don't really go that deep. I don't care which way the wind's blowing. If you're going to hit a home run, you're going to hit a home run. So even if you don't hit a home run, you're probably going to get lots of hits against both of these guys. So if anything, I'd go over in this game.
Looking towards maybe an over. Yeah, I'm sure Cubs fans, when they heard me saying, oh, that Mets and Phillies game, it's the biggest 4-game set, they were like, well, what about my Cubs? They're on the brink of elimination. That 4-game series matters to me. Unfortunately, they're going against a team that's nearly 20 games under 500. So maybe not as marquee quite as that Phils and Mets series. Let's talk some best bets here, boys. Trig, I'm going to start with you because we actually had a question, perfect timing, by Bobby E over on YouTube Shorts. Appreciate you chiming in. Hit that like button. He was thinking Twins, Woods Richardson is getting tired. He hasn't reached 5 innings the last 4 starts, going 0-2, 6, 8, 9. Dropping some stats, Bobby E. And he says, Dan, Adam, Tokyo, Brandon. Thoughts on fading the Twins here today? Well, Trig, your best bet comes in this game, so you're the perfect person to ask about a potential fade spot because I'm thinking maybe you don't quite see it that way. First, let folks know what you have over at WagerTalk. We have a great deal coming Friday where you can take half off. Talk more about that tomorrow. But Trig, WT.buzz/AT, what can folks find and how are you betting the Twins and Guardians with SWR on the mound for the Twins?
Yeah, I've got a ton of action today. So I'm actually going to give you this another best bet for free because I have 2 MLB. I'm in action in the NFL game tonight. I have a great MLB KBO combined special that takes you through the end of the season. That's up on a discount at my page. So a lot of action today. And because of that, I've got kind of an extra one here that starts in an hour and a half. And so I'm going to give it to you for free on the show. I'm on the Twins, small plus money. I think I got plus 103. It's a 4% play for me. And, I'll start. Let's start with last night first. So the Twins, they blow the game in the 10th inning. You could see that coming from a mile away. They went into last night's game with a very fatigued bullpen. They had Ronnie Henriquez out there in the 10th inning on the road. That was pretty much, like I said, you could see that coming from a mile away that they were going to probably choke away that lead, and they did. But that won't be the case today. And the main reason for that is Griffin Jax did not pitch last night, and he's likely the focus of the bullpen here, which I love because the more I watch the Twins, and I've been watching them closely all year, I feel like Jax is the better of the 2 relievers now. Like if you had to give me Griffin Jax or Johan Duran, I think 9 out of 10 people would take Duran. I think Jax is like the more sure-handed, better of the 2. He's got the better numbers, and I think he might be out there for more than an inning today if the Twins need it because they have to win this game. I mean, it's like their season's on the line pretty much at this point. That's also not to say that Johan Duran won't be out there for a 3rd day in a row. Duran has done that a bunch. So the Twins, again, it's all hands on deck. If it gets to a spot late in this game where they need Duran, he will pitch a 3rd day in a row. And Jax, with the day off yesterday, should be able to pitch extensively in high leverage spots if needed. Now, I still think the Twins are going to make a push at this last wild card spot. I know they've sort of dipped lately, but it's still theirs to lose. They still control their own destiny. They have Carlos Correa back, which is massive. 4 RBIs in yesterday's game. I think he's a huge addition to the lineup. And as far as Woods Richardson is concerned, I basically look at it like this. I just need to survive with Woods Richardson pretty much as long as the Guardians need to survive with Cantillo. Like, I don't see a huge difference between the 2. I think you could look at it one of 2 ways. Like, Woods Richardson has had a couple bad starts, but he's been really good all season. Like, he's been excellent for them all season in a year where, like, their starting pitching has dropped like flies. he started in the minors. He was messing around with his mechanics. He's overall been very good. He really hasn't had any blowups outside of like I think last week. Like he hasn't really gotten bombed that many times, and I don't think he's got a huge leash here. Going to what our friend in the chat said, I don't think his leash is very long. If he's in trouble in the third or fourth, the Twins are going to go and get someone else in there. Now, Cantillo for the Guardians, he's been really good the last 2 times out, but how much stock are you going to put in that? Like, this is a guy that had an 8.847 ERA his first 4 starts in the big leagues. So, yeah, he's been okay the last couple times out, but I don't think you can look at those two and say, like, okay, Woods Richardson's going to be bad because he had a couple bad starts, or Cantillo's going to be great because he was great the last 2 times out because he got bombed the previous couple starts. So if the starting pitching offsets here, I do think the Twins have a late inning bullpen advantage, which is kind of crazy to say, facing the Guardians. But Emmanuel Clase has now pitched 3 of the last 4 days. I wonder if they give him a day off here, even if it's a save situation. They have a 6-game lead on the Royals, and you really can't afford to have anything happen to him. I know he's been a warrior for them, taking the ball basically anytime they need it, but how much do they need it at this point? That the win yesterday puts them 6 up on the Royals. I think they're good. Day game after a night game, I could see them saying, you know what, take the day. You've pitched a ton lately. And then again, give me Griffin Jacks, Duran, their top bullpen arms with the Twins. I think it's comparable. So the way I look at this, Twins desperately need this game. They won the first game of the series. They should have won last night. Correa back is huge. I like the Twins plus money. And even up to -105, -110. I think the Twins is a really good bet today.
Twins getting the plus money best bet for our man Adam Trigger. You can check out what he's doing on the gridiron as well. Client plays over at wt.buzz/AT. Tokyo Brandon, all you have done since joining WagerTalk is win, win, win exclusively on the diamond for you and your clients. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you got a 5%er rocking today. A best bet up and over at your page. You also have a great deal where if you lock in the regular season, you're going to get that for free if you're getting this postseason as well. So #1 all sports, #1 MLB, #1 in all sports out of the last 3 out of 4 years, TB. So the accolades precede you. So let the folks know what they can find over at your page, and let us know the free best bet that we're looking in the Cardinals and the Pirates, because I don't know if anyone got the memo to the Cardinals, like, your season is over. Where was this team, TB, when their season wasn't over? Pretty wild, change there. So Cardinals, Pirates, how are we betting that one, and how can folks join you over at your page?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, I do have a 5% going today. But you can get that for free. You can get the rest of my MLB season for free. There's a deal at my page at WagerTalk. And it means that if you go to that link right there, the wt.buzz/TB, you can get the rest of my regular season for free by purchasing my MLB postseason for $3 a day. So it's a great deal. And even if you're not interested in that deal, I do have several plays up today. I'm just like Adam. I have a lot of action today because there's a lot of good spots, in my opinion. As the season winds down, some teams don't care. Some teams do. Like you said, Dan, the Cardinals should not care, but they do for some odd reason. They're one of the hotter teams out there. So let's get into today's best bet. Eric Fetty, a former KBO Eric Fetty guy, pitched for NC, was really good. And Louis Ortiz is going for Pittsburgh. So the way I break this down is I have these teams pretty even in almost everything except bullpen. I have the Pittsburgh Pirates as a bottom 5 bullpen, and the St. Louis Cardinals bullpen is actually top 10. Everything else pretty much is even. I do have Fetty ranked quite a bit higher than Ortiz, though. So anytime you have the starting pitcher and the bullpen advantage over the other team, you have a chance to win the game. And I think the Cardinals have a great chance to win the game today. Fetty's a better pitcher, the better bullpen, and the Cardinals are batting a little bit better. And they're hot, like you said, for some odd reason. they think it's time to win right now. And so who am I to step in their way today? So I like the Cardinals on the money line here against the Pirates. I forgot what the line was. I think I got it for minus 125 or 130, something like that. So it's a good deal. Another little trick for professional gamblers is if it's a line that you think is too high, you can always take a -1 risk-free and knock about 30 cents off the line. So a -1 means if your team wins by 1, you get a push instead of a loss, which you would get on the -1.5 run line. So it's always a good time to lay a -1 if you don't like the juice. But I think straight up money line here for the Cardinals is the bet, and that's my best bet for the show.
Yeah, and it's still palatable. It's ticked up a little bit. Looks like the highest that I'm seeing out here is 148. This according to the WagerTalk live odds screen, free over there at WagerTalk.com. Highest is 148. Lowest is 138. So definitely shop around. Save yourself the 10 cents. 138, not too bad of a price there for sure. It's Tokyo Brandon, WT.buzz/TB. Partner with them. The 5% is rocking today, folks. Don't miss out on that. And that's going to do it for another edition. The regular season is humming along here. We're rapidly approaching the end of September. We'll be with you here on First Pitch through the end of the regular season. So keep those likes coming, folks. Keep those comments coming. Let us know what your best bets are in the comments below. We would love it if you stat pad those comments. Shout out to my man Ronnie Vegas. Keep those comments coming. Shout out to those on TikTok. Hit that follow button as well, and keep us in your timeline on your social channels as well. Adam Trigger going with the Twins. Best bet for free, a client play getting the plus money, and Tokyo Brandon eyeing the Cardinals money line. Check these guys out over at WagerTalk.com, and don't go anywhere, folks. Check out the video on your screen right now to keep getting all the info you need to cash in all the sports you love. 20 minutes from now, Marco D'Angelo, Ross Benjamin joining the guys for Wager Talk today. And if you got college football on the mind, coming your way today, 1 p.m. Eastern live, Joe Ranieri and the crew breaking down the college football slate, taking your questions along the way. So don't go anywhere, folks. Hit that like button, subscribe, and best of luck. Till next time, we'll see you locked and loaded here Friday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. on the West Coast for First Pitch. Best of luck, folks, and we'll see you then.